Hello and welcome, people. Welcome to another episode of Adventures with Truth. We're coming in a few days late yet again, and I apologize for that. Being mixed with a few things. Yeah, that's what's up. The cold is, going away. You can say it's bye bye winter, at least in Delhi. Recently heard, that finally it has snowed this year about the end of January. Yeah, that's when it snowed in Kashmir side, bit of Himachal too. They have been, waiting for snow for a long time. The tourist industry was taking a massive hit. But finally, and yeah, as one might expect, and suddenly all the people from Delhi, UP, Rajasthan, all these warm states, the moment they got the news that it's finally snowing, they rushed their asses over there. And causing, I think, so many jams on the highways. Plus, the snow has blocked some ways to Srinagar and Gulmarg. So that's that. But for the most part, winter is going away, it seems. Even though it rained a while, about a day in certain parts of Delhi and mostly North India too. But still, not much effect in the weather. Things are starting to get hot. If it's starting to get hot right in January itself, or maybe start of February. Today is what? Third Feb. Yep, 2024. That's what's up. So it's gonna be crazy. By the time we get to May, June, July, doesn't matter where you live in Delhi or India, for that matter. You could be in the northern states. You could be in the northeast side, south. It's gonna be crazy, crazy hot. Yet again, That's my prediction. I'm anticipating that. I'm not hoping for it. It'd be crazy if somehow we could just get a very mild summer this year in 2024. The world needs a break. The past few years, the weather has been going crazy. Plenty of earthquakes, tsunamis, and everything. Storms are coming here and there, destroying life and property. People are, waging wars continuously at multiple parts of the world. The Amazonian rainforest has been burning, the lungs of the earth. A lot of crazy things have been happening. COVID was, of course, a big thing in the past 5 years, I'd say. So it'd be kind of good if the entire world just, gets a mild 2024 without crazy heat or some other patterns. We're already 1 month in, and yeah, we don't have a lot of things to believe that thought, not logically, but hey, man can hope. Man can hope. And even today, a lot of things, seem to be going still crazy in the world without settling down. The Iranians and Jordanians and all those Middle Eastern countries, they are trying to, get into standoffs with the US. There have been some drone strikes. America has struck back. Things are going in crazy in Canada, even at home, In India, you can see the political parties are just going crazy. Recently, I heard that they're going to pass the new UCC. Finally, it was passed by the parliament, but it has not been implemented. So it's about to come into effect now. That's quite handy, around the election time. And even around the world, like 2024 is such a chaotic year, which goes against the hopes that we have that it'll be a mild year, but because I think more than 50 countries have their main presidential or prime minister elections in 2024. So all over the world, it's just, Bangladesh just completed their election. We have election in India. America is going on. Then I think there's, election's gonna be taking place in Canada too. I really hope this fucking Justin Trudeau guy gets the fuck out of there, man. He gets voted out, but let's see. Yeah. In South America, Europe, parts of Africa, Maldives already, of course. We all know how that new guys doing in office. So that's that. But at least, we can hope that the weather in 2024 is not as crazy. Against all the signs and observations, let's hope, you know. A lot of things are going on around the world, especially in the past 7 to 8 days since the Republic Day. People are still talking about what? I mean, not the important matters, of course, So let's put that aside for the later part of the show. On pressing matters, I recently, heard about a schoolmate of mine who lost his father. Yeah. And it was a case of sudden heart attack. And that got me thinking, of course, when these kind of things happens too close to home and to people you are pressed to think about it more than, when it happens in around the society and it's not affecting you, it's far from home. So I was thinking that. And I recently saw that a pretty big YouTuber, they do these explanatory videos about what's going on in the world, India, explaining topics, a lot of graphics, a lot of animations and everything. And they suddenly, uploaded a video. I wouldn't want to name the channel right now, maybe some other time. They uploaded a video, talking about the title and thumbnail suggested that there's a hidden epidemic that's going on in the world, especially in parts of India. And what's the sudden cause of death of all these people's dying? You see athletes, young people. I mean, think about athletes, actors. People are just, dying of heart attack for no reason. They didn't even have a heart history, or a history of any kind of cardiac problems. And suddenly they are getting this heart attacks, and apparently the heart attack is so strong that there's no sign to, usually heart attacks don't give you sign, but they are not minor heart attacks, right? The person doesn't even have the time to be taken to the hospital. They just drop dead right there, just like that. And in this video, even this YouTuber was talking about it. So, I thought they will talk about the things that I am inclined to believe. But no, the entire video was about, talking about air pollution, and this is the reason which people are dying so early, unexpectedly. And that didn't actually seem right to me. It didn't feel like there was enough or even adequate truth in that situation or that statement or in that belief, in that explanation. And I'll tell you why. For the 2 years that the world was essentially shut down, we didn't get much pollution. We saw that the air got a lot better. And even in cities like, parts of North India, Delhi, Faridabad, Mumbai, you see that the air quality index is not any lower than what it was, or higher than what it was in 2019 or even the start of 2020. It was, near about the same. Still the pollution and the fog would set in North India. Parts of it, most of it would be from burning the paralis and everything, the crops which they have harvested. And of course, people were, blowing firecrackers and everything. People were still doing, construction willy-nilly, and people were still using firewood to get themselves heat in the winters. So most of these aspects were actually the same. There were fewer cars, but still the norms were not as strict. So there were, polluting more at the time. And even today, I see it's not much changed. So it can't be that, heart attack is the reason that people are suddenly dying now, because if that's the case, then we should have witnessed something or something similar 4 to 5 years ago. But we didn't. Which leaves me to believe that all these crazy vaccination programs, which took place to hundreds and hundreds, billions of people around the world, that seems like the most, probable answer, because we have seen studies in sciences where people have revealed that these vaccinations for the COVID-19 are more likely to give you heart attacks than the disease itself, especially in young male who have strong immune systems. So their immune system acts so violently towards the vaccine that it ends up causing damage to the heart itself. And the thing about the human heart, or I think heart of most mammals, is that heart does not regenerate. It's one of those tissues. Even brain grows. There's neuron growth in the brain. It can get bigger when you work out, if you lift weights and everything, right? But the thing about the heart is that it doesn't regenerate. The cardiac cells, the muscles, they don't grow back. Once you damage the heart, or even if there are some small scars in the heart, the scars might get closed up, the wounds might heal up, but it'll never be the same. You don't get fresh tissue there. So any problem that you might encounter towards your heart at any point in life, it is probable to be a part of your life for the rest of your life. Scary and poetic. We are outdoing ourselves today. That's what it seems like. For instance, you get any kind of a damage to your heart, be it even at age 20, when you're healthy and youthful, everything is working properly, you've almost grown up. Still, frontal cortex is yet growing, grows about to the age of 25, but everything else is fine, right? And even if you get some kind of damage to your heart, maybe you have an accident, bump into something crazy bad, fall somewhere, you get shot, stabbed, anything, and you get some kind of damage to your heart, well, that part will heal. It will not heal as it will get replaced by new tissue. It will just get scar tissue over that. So in some ways, even the efficiency of the heart will go down. And when you combine all this knowledge, that this problem will be a part of this 20-year-old's body for the rest of his life, and you map that onto athletes and people who are performing on stage, a lot of singers have died. KK died out of a sudden heart attack, I think 1 or 2 years ago. And he was a pretty fit guy, but I'm sure he was vaccinated. Double boosters, triple boosters and everything. Because of course he had to travel. So even if he wouldn't have the desire to get vaccinated, well, he would have to. Right? That comes back to the entire, control situation. Government control of the government on the people. You're forced. And now when something is being done by all the countries in the world, well, you have to succumb. Especially if you're in that situation, if your livelihood, if your money is tied up to somebody else, I don't think you'll ever be free. Anything that you make creatively, artistically, it'll never be a true expression of where you stand or, where you are. What are your perspectives? I mean, think about it. And I was just talking to this guy. Even if you are and we were discussing, right, that if you are any kind of an artist, maybe you're even a crazy millionaire, billionaire, there are certain things you cannot do, even if, they are genuinely victimless. It doesn't hurt anybody, but some things, even expressions, things that you cannot say, because even for a crazy artist, right, their money is tied up with the fans. If people don't buy your shit, listen to your shit, you don't get the paycheck. So that was the idea, right? So these people had to comply, especially the athletes and everything, right? And as a result, I'm sure a lot of these people who are fit, healthy, and youthful, full of that good, juicy immune system, these people might have to, take vaccines which might not be certified for long use. And that seems to be, I would say, I'd rather put my money on that situation, that this is the cause of these increasing heart attacks we'd see, especially in males and young males, under 40, under 50. Sometimes their immune system is just too strong and too violent. It causes a lot of collateral damage. One might even say this is the similar kind of collateral damage that, people do to civilians when they wage wars. Be it in Gaza, Ukraine, anywhere. Taiwan, Tibet, Hong Kong, Nigeria, Algeria, Congo, to quote some examples, right? Yeah, but I don't think anybody is talking about it. I mean, well, of course, there are a few small group of people who are actually trying to follow the evidence. Well, first they're trying to uncover the evidence, because the evidence is just buried so deep into the nuisance and useless paperwork and jargon and information, you can't even get to it. And if you get to it, then only you can, start the process of evaluating it from an unbiased perspective. So there are some people, a very small group of people who are talking about these things and these possibilities. So I'm not saying that is the cause, I'm just saying that seems to be the most probable cause to me. And if I was a betting man, that's where I put my money. I put it where my mouth is, where my mind is. And that's called conviction, people. Conviction. Something I see very less in this world with each passing day. Conviction, that's what people are starting to miss. Yeah. And thing about conviction is that nobody can actually teach you how to be convicted towards something. Have an absolute passion, or even just your default nature of your habits to do anything with conviction. If you believe in it, you stand by it, you should be able to stand for it. I think it's one of those things which works on a societal level. You cannot teach this to a person. They just have to grow in a society where more and more people have conviction, and then maybe then they'd absorb those ideas or those habits. And on other note, well, let's have some water first, because tigers love water. The animals sure do. Recently I came back. Well, I went to a Jim Corbett National Park for a 2-day stay there, to do safaris and to spot a tiger if we get lucky. Went there on a family trip, and wow, it was a pretty good experience. Let's talk about that. That'll probably be the highlight of this episode today. So yeah, Jim Corbett National Park. Well, they told me that it is actually one of the oldest national parks in the country. I think it was established in 1936. And of course, they named it after a British, some white guy named Jim Corbett. He was a hunter. And the reason they did that is, well, let me give you this short insight into this crazy story. There was a tiger. Well, there are a lot of tigers, not as much as they used to. A lot of them have been hunted down, and they lost their habitat. But there used to be a lot of tigers, especially in the early 20th century, until Britishers and kings and everybody in power used to hunt them down. Mostly, not even playing a fair game. If you think about the movies and predators, you see the predators, the aliens, they come, they at least give everybody the favorite weapon of choice or some weapons to fight back, so at least it's fair matchup. The predator, of course, gonna come out on top, but so yeah, kings, Britishers, rulers, everybody, sultans, and everybody was just whacking tigers left and right. But until we had hunted them to a near point of extinction, back in 1930s, there was a tiger. I think, I could be wrong, but I think the name of the tiger was champawat tiger. And this single tiger, allegedly, we have counted, scientists have counted the numbers, and this one single tiger is responsible for the death of or killing and eating more than 400 people. It's almost 500, it's around 470 something. Think about it. This one wild animal, this one tiger, killed 400 and 70 something people. That's why, a lot of cultures warn about cats and wolves. Because back in the day when we didn't have cities and high powered rifles, long ranging weapons like bows and everything, they would just eat us whenever the fuck they want. You cannot just, compete with them even if you have a stick and everything. Unless they're a child, and children are always guarded by the mothers. Tigresses, that's. So yeah, she's not gonna let you get near to them. So this one tiger, he'd every 2 or 3 days in one village or another village in Uttarakhand, they'd just come. I think then even some of the villages were named like Tikala or something. And they'd just grab the villagers when they'd be in the woods grabbing firewood, collecting fruit and everything. And yeah, they kept doing it. One day you'll hear the news from this village, other day you'll hear the news from that village. This lady got taken, this guy got taken. Sometimes even, of course, kids were taken. And these tigers were just killing them. Sometimes we'd found their clothes torn up, covered with blood and everything. And the people were, of course, crazy scared. Some people just got so scared, I think they saw things happen and they lost their voice. The person could never speak again, at least for years on end. That's how traumatic it was. A tiger was running wild, man. I mean, it had, of course, become a man-eater in its true sense. So eventually, of course, the government and the local bodies there, and even the people in these villages, they would sum up monies, like to pool their finances, get a big chunk of money, and they'd call British hunters or whoever was around at the time. If they'd put out the thing like, hey, you think you're a badass hunter, you can take on any beast. Let's see if you can. We're putting out this reward, or we'll even give you a contract. Come and kill this fucking tiger, man. It has terrorized the entire region. And this one tiger, of course, and it has killed more than 470 people. Of course, at the time it was not as high, but even when the hunters were out looking for the tiger, the kills just kept coming up. She was so sneaky. I don't know if it was she or a he, but was so sneaky, so smart, right? Of course, these apex predators are way smarter than we give them credit for. And they could, make sense of the environment. They'd know when the people are there. And of course, humans make a lot of noise when we walk into the forest. But tigers, they walk dead silent. Dead silent. I mean, their paws are padded up. Even when they step on dry leaves, it still almost never makes a sound. You might be able to know if a tiger is around when if monkeys and deer start going crazy. That's something I learned in my vacation at Jim Corbett. But so yeah, the crazy tigers were just not, they kept killing the villagers even as the hunters were hunting. And then came this one guy. His name was Jim motherfucking Corbett. Well, I might have put some extra words in his name, but yeah, Jim Corbett. This was the guy. And he spent like weeks on end trying to track down this tiger, following all the footsteps and everything, going from village to village. One day he'd been in this village and he heard the news that last night the tiger took somebody from other village. So he'd rush to that other village, going through all that mountainous forest regime. And eventually, he was able to get the tiger into an open field situation where he was at a higher point. Maybe it was a hill, it was a tree or something. Probably it was a small hill. So he had a nice vantage point. And from there he was able to, shoot the tiger once. And the tiger still kept running. He shot him again from other distance after rushing into the jungle. And finally he was able to get this tiger. And once the tiger was dead, first of all, of course, right, everybody felt such a huge relief that finally the terror of this man-eater tiger and the forest of Himalayas is coming to an end. The beast is dead now. Hopefully it's not the last beast in the forest, because we really need all the wildlife to maintain the balance of the ecosystem. Even if you take one thing away, the entire thing falls. It's a web. It's a house of cards. It's the beauty of nature. So yeah, and as the tiger was dead, then they studied its jaw, trying to figure out if the man-eater has developed some other things which makes him more interested in killing people than his natural prey. Because tigers are not, always attracted towards humans. First of all, they have certain reluctance towards humans because of all the hunting for hundreds and hundreds of years. So they have this fear that's become a part of their DNA. It's not exactly a fear, but it is kind of a reluctance. Let's not fuck with this. Because if you think about tigers, their mothers always teach them how to hunt. Their particular way of hunting, how you use your camouflage, how you walk, how you can use all your senses, your crazy smell, a crazy sense of fear that you can be heard from a long mile away, 2 miles away. Especially if you're walking on a jeep and everything, the tiger always know where you are because they can see you before you can see them. So that's the thing, right? And then they studied this tiger and they found out that previously some pussy ass bitch ass hunter had tried to shoot the tiger, but he failed. And in the process, he ended up basically cracking the jaw or dislocating the jaw of the tiger. So the tiger was having very hard time catching his regular prey because it's not hard for it's not easy for these predators to catch prey. They don't succeed on every trial. They have to get really close within striking distance that they can just pounce once or twice because of course they cannot maintain that speed for a long time. And so the tiger would have to get into the prey, under the prey, grab the neck and then hold on for dear life and try to choke this motherfucker. Just choke this motherfucker. Anyways, so yeah, and because of this problem or this injury in the jaw, the tiger was no longer able to hunt his usual prey. So he'd have no option but to come and attack the soft, jelly skinned, slow, crying babies, weak ass humans which are not fast in the forest. We don't have hooves or horns or anything, so we cannot even attack the tiger unless we have a stick or a sword, maybe a 10 feet sword, just to keep them at distance. Guns are different, but still, you can shoot a tiger once or twice, and before they die, they'll bleed to death, but they might still be able to get you and kill you. Have one last meal. So yeah, that was the reason. It was, in a way, our own doing, which made this tiger kill more humans. So humans were indirectly, responsible for wildlife coming and attacking humans. And if you think about it, it's also a metaphor for us taking away their homes. We are putting, animals in positions where they don't have homes, so they have no other option but to attack this weird little creature that walks in the forest. Almost nothing walks upright. Nothing wears these clothes and everything. So we are sort of this unique thing. So finally, Jim Corbett, brought the end to that terror of the champawat tigress. Before I digress, yeah. And of course, as a thank to him, in the honor or something, they named the park Jim Corbett National Park. And of course, this guy was not crazy. He was not hunting people like tigers like other people. As a sign of bravery, he was just understanding that this is wildlife, and sometimes the encounters between wildlife and human beings doesn't go so well. So we have to make sure that they don't fuck with us, but we cannot just hunt them to extinction. They are a part of nature. They play a very important role in the entire ecosystem of the forest. If you don't have tigers, you take them away, the deer population gets crazy. They start eating everything. They eat all the vegetation and they start breeding like crazy, having sex with anybody, man, just having babies. And as a result, even the poor ones, the ones which are not healthy deer, maybe sometimes they are sick, even if they are slow, they keep breeding and the population gets, polluted, I would say, because the diseases are not getting filtered out. Because if a tiger sees a deer who has a rough throat or he has a broken leg, that deer particularly is more likely to get hunted down. So in a way, they clean the population and make sure only the healthy ones survive. But if you don't do that, diseases keep spreading in the deer. Then deer wreak havoc on the vegetation. They eat everything, and then they starve themselves to food because they don't have now any food left. Nobody is hunting them, so they're breeding like crazy. Their numbers are growing crazy. They're pooping everything, pooping everywhere, right? And the hygiene goes down. So even just if you take away, like, there are hundreds of such chains intertwined, right? Snakes, birds, rodents, insects, and mammals, of course. So you cannot just take them away. So he tried to, raise awareness that, oh, yeah, I've killed this tiger, but at the end I understand the importance of all creatures and their part in the ecosystem. So, of course, right, that led to the creation of Jim Corbett National Park. And I heard about it's probably I think the most popular national park in India. People who don't even use the word national park anymore. They just say like I went to Corbett, I went to Jim Corbett. Ah, right. So that's the most famous one. And I'd been hearing about it for a while, so I was happy, that finally got the chance to go there. Luckily, we were staying in one of the resorts, which is in the deeper part of the forests. So we had a small reservoir there. And thing about the forest is it's a huge forest. Like the guy told us, it spreads from Corbett region, Ramnagar, all the way towards Rishikesh, Hardwar, and part of it goes even towards Nepal. They touch there. So it's a huge forest, and they have about 250 to 300 tigers there. And still, the number might sound a lot to you, but it's a huge forest. And the tigers, they have the perfect camouflage. You will never spot a tiger unless they want to be spotted. That's what I, figured out. Because we stayed there for, 2 nights, did bunch of safaris, and even only on the last one were we able to spot one. And that one, it was not, a lot of people were around, a lot of cars were around. So it was not a lucky encounter. The tiger was chilling there. He was like, fuck you people, I'll just walk by the road, let you take pictures. That's what you bitches do. I'm a tigress, I'll walk there. You bitches will take pictures. Good life, good life. And you are people who will conserve me too, protect me from hunters. Seems like the kitty cats have gotten a good deal. Yeah, right. So, as you walk into the forest, right, you enter the gate, and it's about an hour drive onto the dirt roads and trail into the forest. You might see some birds you might not have seen. We saw this weird ass hen or chicken, they call it, jungli murgi, and it had the most beautiful colors. I think it almost had the 7 colors of a rainbow. Some red here, some yellow there, some green there, some blue there. Saw some purple ones. Not a deer there. Samba deer is there, spotted deer is there. Even managed to see a few jackals, CRs that is, but no sign of tiger. Anyways, we went there. It was about an hour drive, so you have to take their gypsies and everything. You cannot take your vehicle inside. Apparently, you used to be able to do that about 5 to 10 years ago, but then people fucked around. They would not stick on the trails. They would get out of the car. Accidents happens. Tiger sees an easy meal. Tiger eats an easy meal. Tigers don't give no fucks, especially in that area. No sir, not at all. So that's why they closed it down. Now you have to park your cars outside and take a gypsy there. And yeah, you go into this forest, and it felt like an entire different ecosystem. Within, you'd see in 100 meters, you'd feel a difference. The air is somehow just fresher. I can still see the gate, but the moment I'm surrounded by all these trees and clean waterways, it's spot on. It's spot on. And yeah, there's moisture in the air. You can smell the dirt and the earth, which is of course always a great thing. And you can see the wildlife. Langurs are hanging over there. They don't care much about you. They might come try to steal your purse, which is something that happened to my mom. But yeah, luckily we saved that purse. So you walk in there. You can reach your forest. They always have around all the resorts they have electric fencing to make sure wildlife don't cross over. And yet you can see deers just walking into the camp because the electric fence is shut off during the daytime. So the deers just poke their head in. They take a jump and they're inside the electric fence. And even the electric fence, I saw it. It's just 7 to 8 feet high at the maximum. In some places it's 9 feet high, 10 feet high, but that's it. And that's actually not a problem for a tiger. They can just, if you've seen videos, these motherfuckers can take vertical leaps at crazy heights, especially if they can get a distance running. So they'd be, of course, easily be able to come into the territory, but usually they don't, of course, because there is plenty prey for the tigers. The most I've heard is whenever, people eat tigers in the Jim Corbett area in the forest, Either those people are outside of their vehicles doing sometimes their labors, doing farming there, or it's somebody who's walking outside the campus of these resorts at night time because it's pitch black, right? Even in the campus or your resort area, you have just a little bit of lighting. People stay in their rooms. You're advised to get into your room after 8:30. That's what the time until they'll serve dinner. You have your food, get into your rooms, and go to fucking sleep. Yeah, and for a change, for like after decades in my life, I was actually going to sleep at 9:30, because you cannot do anything there. There's no television, there's no internet. You want to talk to people, well, you have been talking to these people all day long. You cannot watch anything, do something, and you cannot even roam around because fucking tigers are around. So yeah, we were all just going to sleep crazy early. Like by the time we'd not even have dinner at home. I don't even have dinner at home at sometimes around till 10. And I was asleep, well fed and everything by 9 there. So that was crazy. It was something my circadian rhythm really appreciated. All that resetting. In the moment it hits 6, people start waking up there because you have to go to safari by 6:45, 6:45. So everybody would be just up, getting ready. And one thing I noticed is like this is like I've been to a lot of mountains, right? I usually do treks and everything. I've done some multi-day treks where you're just trekking away from civilization for 4 to 5 days, sleep in tents, you carry your own food and everything. And even those locations where, of course, now a lot of people go on such treks. And you'll find, dirt, human dirt, waste, most importantly, plastic, everywhere. But within this, perimeter, this forest, they have actually done a magnificent job to make sure that the area is not polluted. That's also because of the strict rules. They treat like an army camp, man. You cannot break the rules. No matter what happens, you cannot get out of the vehicle on a safari unless you're within the walls, within the electric fence of your own camp. You cannot do that. No matter what happens, you drop something, you drop your phone, you can lean towards the ground from within the jeep to get the phone, but you cannot get out of the vehicle. No fucks given. And of course, everybody's given a jute bag so that you don't throw your waste. You have to collect the waste and take it back to your camp, and those guys will dispose it. So this forest, although it was not as so far away from civilization, so secluded, but since this forest is so well maintained and conserved, this was, I think, probably the first time I have not seen any kind of pollutant plastic in the wild nature setting, especially on this large area. So sometimes you'd have to drive into the forest for 30 kilometers, 25, 30 kilometers to get to the farther resorts, which are way deep into the jungle. So we did that. Yeah. And they have like a large reservoir there as well. Supports the water. They have a small dam there. So you could see that, even by the water, we saw alligators just resting by there, trying to get some sun. These cold-blooded motherfucking reptiles. Yeah. Wasn't much cold. It doesn't snow there anymore, but still gets, quite misty. Like even at 9 in the morning, you could not see more than 20 feet away because of all the moisture that comes up from the reservoir. It gets into the air. The temperature is really cool. There's not a lot of, or rather any pollution in the air. It's pretty clean. Pretty clean. Other than the moisture, of course. So yeah, that was pretty nice. And then so we did one safari, we did yet another safari, and only on the third safari were we able to spot the tiger. We still had to wait at a particular place where we knew, like people were already sure, people who were already there had seen the tiger sit down at a place, but we couldn't see the place from where the jeeps were parked. There's a place in the forest, like they have these roads, the trail networks in the forest, that's only where the cars are allowed to drive. So there's the sambar road, named after the sambar deer, because that's where you'll see the sambar deer more. So this tiger was sitting there, and we couldn't see it, but everybody knew that somebody's seeds sit there. So everybody just waited for hours, I would say about 2 hours, little less than 2 hours, for the tiger to move. Eventually the tiger got up, walked in front of the jeep, crossed the line, crossed the rather the trail road, and went in the bushes. It's probably just like a 15-second window you have to see the tiger, and everybody had their giant ass cameras out. Everybody's taking pictures, mobile phones are out, trying to make sure they see the tiger, but also capture the moment, right? Everybody's got to put that on the internet, right? I mean, of course, so did I. But yeah, the tiger looked magnificent. It was so orange and just bright. It was so clean, like it looked like it just done had a polish done on its coat, on its fur. Because if you've been around cats, then you'd know that cats have a habit of licking themselves. They just keep licking their skin, their fur, all over their body, and that cleans them. Unlike dogs and wolves, sometimes you'd see they're just covered in dirt and mud, and they have no way of cleaning everything because first they are not as agile, not as flexible to be able to reach the entire part of body. But cats are, especially the big cats, man. The tiger was spotless. Almost it was like glowing. And as the sun is about to set, the sun has itself become orange, and there's mist in the forest, and there's some green, the shadows, some bright spots of light which almost look white due to the reflection of the water on the ground, and the most of the wood is all black. So that was the perfect camouflage. For the tiger, you cannot see the tiger. Tiger can see you. And the only reason we were able to spot her because she was a tigress. She had 3 young cubs. We didn't get to see the cubs, but once we heard her. She had just recently captured a deer, killed a fresh deer in the morning, and she went in the bushes. By the time we got there, she was already into the bushes, so we couldn't see it. But a while later, we could hear the tiger making this noise like because they don't roar usually. Roaring is a fighting noise. They either just do that to fight or just to deter away another opponent. Some of the tiger who's invading in their private property. I don't know if it's private, but yeah, they don't like that. So usually they don't roar or make any sound. Tigers, they don't want attention. And unless they're fighting, they just do not give a fuck. They want to be stealthy. They don't want to be seen or be known where they are at all. Especially in these kind of areas where they have all the advantage, right? So she was calling. So we heard her calling for her cubs. We didn't see the cubs, but I'm sure the cubs eventually came to where she was and got the fresh deer meat, freshly captured. Yeah. We don't get freshly, captured meat or vegetables anywhere right now, even if you go to the market. But tigers are having it. But they are the, national animal and the apex predator. Quite fascinated I am by the tigers. So, yeah, it's alright if they get fresher food than humans. They work for it every day. The Pedawali, that was her name. Tigress, like the people in the forest department and all the private contractors of safari, and they just called her Pedawali. She had a mother who used to roam in that region. Her name was Paro. She had, I think, 3 daughters. So this was one of the daughters. She left the area for her daughters and she went elsewhere. She was probably dead. That's what everybody was assuming. So this tigress was Pedawali because she's living in the part of the forest where there is mostly deep cover of trees and bushes. And she has a sister who they have named Parwali because she lives Nadi ke par. There's a river or the reservoir and a small river bite, and then there's grasslands. They have pretty, high grass, about 7-8 feet high. So tigers can roam around in that too without getting spotted or even making a noise. So she lives there. And apparently each tigress has a 5-kilometer area. That's her domain. That's where she lives, patrols, chill out, hunts, use the resources. And the forest guys were telling us, the male tigers, they have about 7 to 8 kilometers of area. So this was we saw probably the Pedawali because we saw her, in this side of the river. And it was near to all the trees and everything. That's why she disappeared just like that. Because in the open, you'd still be able to. The Parwali, when you see that tigress, because the what do you say, river or the reservoir, which is, both of them are quite wide, right? There's even a wooden bridge which they deploy sometimes when it's not high water and you can drive your cars to the other side of the river. So there's this plain, huge grassland by this dry riverbed. The parts of it is still wet, wherever the reservoir is touching. So in that open area, you'd still be able to, capture the tiger for long. The tigers are, they're kind of forced or mandated by the circumstances to come into the open. And they know they're going to be spotted. Because if the tiger does not want to be spotted, they will not be spotted. So yeah, but we were on this side of the river, so she was, probably paid wali. She was surrounded all the pears and trees and everything. So that was pretty cool. We also had like another glimpse of tiger when she was, I don't know if it was the same tigress, because this one looked a little bit bigger and the face was not feminine. Yeah, that was another thing, that I saw on this first tigress we saw. That even though I knew, she was a tigress and not a tiger, given the size and her face, like, I'm no expert, right? But the face looked kind of feminine, like a woman's face. Cute. And the other one looked a little bigger. But by the time we got there were so many safaris there. Like, people are just, everybody's trying to spot a tiger. So all the cars rush there at once. And you get blocked the road. The tiger's like, fuck you, motherfuckers. I don't want to walk on the trail now. I'll go into the trail. And we saw them walking, parallel to the trail. And then it disappeared into the bushes within like 5-10 seconds. The tiger didn't like all that noise and people rushing their car engines and making noise. Oi, aage, let's capture it. Oh. So the tiger was like, fuck you. This is my territory, bitch. I'll walk 20 feet inside the forest. You won't be able to see me. I'll be able to hear you, smell you, probably even see you. So that one disappeared pretty fast. And yeah, that was it. So we had to do 3 safaris to be able to still get lucky in seeing a tiger. Because some people even still didn't get to see either of those instances. They waited for 30 minutes and they left, to go some other trail and try to get lucky there. That's the thing. In Jim Corbett, getting lucky doesn't mean getting laid. It means getting to see a tiger. And also it implies that tiger is kind of granting you a wish that you can see me. Because they choose when they come out in the open. If they don't want to be seen, they will not be seen. That's what's up. Bunch of more, facts I would like to tell you. Like, we were told that this is, I think, the only national park in India where the animals, and especially the tigers, are not tagged. They don't have a collar, they don't have a GPS here, because a lot of them even, go to the remote parts of this forest and might even end up in Nepal and everything. The entire forest is not within, I think, Indian border. So maybe that's the reason, I don't know. Or maybe they just probably because they wanna, keep things even more raw. Even when you capture a tiger, you put a collar on them, it's not comfortable. Plus it blocks their camouflage wherever the strap of the collar is. And it's not easy for the animal. They don't understand what is this, permanent thing attached to my body. And we humans are used to, putting clothes on, wearing watches, glasses and everything. Bandanas, but not chains. But for the tigers, like, what the fuck is this shit, man? Like, they'll keep scratching themselves to get it off. So maybe that's why. Which seems like actually a good reason, right? Doing scientific research and everything is important, but it's more very important to not disturb the wildlife and all the senses that these animals have. Like, we don't even, fully understand what kind of sensory organ these animals are using. For instance, I've seen bees or pigeons use magnetic waves in the earth to navigate their way. Now, if we fuck up with the magnets and high power lines in deep forest, it's gonna get, messy for them. They might lose their way. Their populations might get disturbed. And as a result, the ecosystem might collapse. We have to be very careful that where we do the development. It's not to say, we should not do development, because of course human development is very, very important. But so is the conservation of these majestic beasts, man. I mean, you look at the tiger, that's the thing, even when you see jackals, deers, monkeys, they're all scared of humans. You go near to them, they'll just get in the bushes, run away, try to be reclusive. They will change their directions, the way they're walking. Tigers, no. Like, tigers, I think, even though they are protected there, but I think even like one day after we left, the tiger jacked 2 people from like within that region. not from inside the electric fence, but somebody was out at some place. And since we don't know where all the tigers are at any given moment, I think they took one or two guy, took him, killed him, ate him. So tigers hunt everything there. So of course they are the predators, alphas, man. Like even we heard that two male tigers recently hunted a boar, not just deer. And if they can catch a langur, sure, why not? Why not, right? It's a honest day's work, hard work. That's cool, right? You only work hard to eat food. You have to make sure you work hard, but that's all the thing you work for. Simple things, man. Simple things. Just how I like it. I still like to put some complications in there, but yeah, for the most part, simple does it best. Even the guys, in order to not disturb the nature in any way, they don't even use walkie-talkies anymore. Yeah, like the safari guys or the forest rangers, the director of the forest, or the person who's in the Indian forest force reserves, whatever they call it, the officers, they might have some walkie-talkie to communicate within their cars, but nobody else has them. We didn't even see a single walkie-talkie. So people just cannot communicate with each other. The phones don't work. The moment you enter the gate, it might still take you an hour to get to your resort, but within 15 minutes the cell service is gone. There are no signals there. And even at the places where the phone is showing signal, one bar is coming, 2 bars, it's not able to make calls or use internet or anything. So that was actually pretty good, not having access to internet, completely being digitized, other than of course that pictures and videos you're taking from your phone, nothing else. So it was an amazing break. Yeah, those are some majestic beings, man. Fucking tigers. Rightfully so, we named them the national animal of India. Because we do have, this crazy biodiversity in India. Still, some of it is preserved, most of it is gone. But we don't have a more badass creature. And even in certain topics, we don't identify or behave as a nation following the footsteps of our national animal. Because we should learn from these creatures, right? It's not a reason that we just took them. But it's good that we have probably the most badass creature who roams on Indian land as a national animal. People just often make a more fuss about the lions and Ashoka's thumbs and four-faced lions. I'm like, don't you disrespect that tiger, motherfucker. Don't you forget there's a tiger. Luckily there are, more than one, right? So I think like the total number, India is probably the home to greatest number of wild tigers in the wild. So there was some data, where I heard or read that some people say, I don't know the truth in it, so I'm about to go on an adventure, but some people say there are more tigers in captivity, as in cages in people's home, illegally or legally, than there are in the wild. Think about that shit, Maybe we should at least or rather make those people who have the tigers in the wild have some mating done with the wild tigers. Because you need more, variety in the DNA to make sure the population is healthy. That's something, people should think about. In the name of conservation, we can make them fuck each other more, and that's how the population stays healthy. And having more of these, national parks would actually be good. Because we're going through such a crazy time right now when it comes to taking over advantage of the natural resources. Whether we even go into a deeper part of the Himachal and Himalayas, you see pretty crazy deforestation. And as a result, wildlife goes away. Start dying, they're unable to hunt, their food is gone. So I'd like to actually see, more national parks put up in India. And they serve a lot of purposes, of course, right? The forest will generate employment. If you maintain the rules properly, strictness is very harshly implemented. than such as in the case of Jim Corbett. You will have a very pristine, clean environment which would actually be able to help you with the weather. All that fertile region, all those trees, they hold the moisture pretty well. So even in the hot months towards March, April, when the reservoir dries up, they're still very useful. They help the weather. So yeah, they help the weather, generate tourism. If you're doing it right, you will not pollute it. It serves it as job, financial opportunity for people. Huh. Pretty lucky. I mean, I heard that there were some people who did like 6, 7 safaris and they still didn't get to see a tiger. A friend of mine had done 2 or 3 safaris. They've been to Ranthambore, Kaziranga, and still didn't get to see a tiger. So that was pretty cool, getting to see a tiger. I'm sure it'd be even cooler to watch her cubs, follow her. The tigress is going by the road, but yeah, maybe the cubs are young, so she's still very protective. Apparently, these 2 tigresses, these 2 sisters, the Pedwali and Parwali, they still don't mind the human beings as much or vehicles as much, because their mother Paro, that was, she'd just put them on the trail in front of the jeeps and everything. So they have been habitualized by the sound of the engine, sound of people, their cameras, the smell of burning diesel. So it doesn't deter them away as much. Now I don't know for the next generation, because we don't get to see a lot of cubs. So what about them cubs, man? What about them cubs? Think about it. And another thing is that when you think about this safari situation, you are in a completely open jeep. I would still kind of prefer it if it was a closed jeep, or maybe we had some kind of a cage, because the way it's completely open, the tiger could just, grab anybody from the jeep and take them into the bushes, and there's nothing we can do about it. People don't even have a stick, let alone a gun. So yeah, they say that so far nobody has attacked, like no tiger has attacked anybody in the jeep, or at least not in the recent history. But sometimes tigers have charged toward the jeep as a fake pretense to scare you away, especially when you're blocking their road or not allowing them to do something that they want to do, if you're being a problem or irritation in their path. So they'll do a fake charge, roar towards you like, oh, and try to scare you away. But there was one incident, right? Because within these campus, we also saw they had elephants there. There were some elephants in the wild. Most had, gone to warmer parts of the forest. So apparently you'd see more elephants in May or June. But right now, there were only a few elephants in the wild. And there were 4 grown elephants within the campus. These were domesticated elephants. And I came to know that, few years ago, they used to have these safaris of elephants into the forest. People would get on top of elephants because people think, oh, tiger is there, it's just a big cat, it will not, attack us, or maybe we can run away in the jeep. No, you cannot run away in the jeep. The tiger will run faster, especially in that terrain where the road is all crazy, it goes to the forest. You cannot outrun a tiger. And then people think, oh, we're on top of the elephant, tiger can't get to us. But if you Google or you go to YouTube, you'll see there's a video where a wild tiger takes out a guy sitting on top of the elephant. Think about it. There's a guy sitting on top of a full-grown elephant, and they're walking the forest, and there's thick cover of grass is there, 5-6 feet high, and out of nowhere there comes a running tiger, and he takes a leap, and he reaches the guy who's sitting on top of the elephant, and I think slashes his hand or something. His entire arm was ripped up. He was damaged pretty bad, because they have blades in their hands, man, razor blades in their hand. Whatever they touch, they could just decapitate you, cut all your windpipes in just one swipe. That's how soft human skin is. It's not that easy to do that to a deer or a sambar deer, any deer, spotted deer. But for humans, that one claw could just knock the fuckers out. It doesn't matter what you do now. So this guy actually, jacked this guy this tiger jacked this guy sitting on top of the elephant. And that's when, people realize that. And it's the same thing as I was saying about the electric fence. The tiger has momentum, they get some speed, they can take pretty high leaps and pretty long distances too. So yeah, they can jump about as high as the top of an elephant. He could, leap over the elephant like a fucking skipping stones. I'll skip over this giant as stone. So those elephants were no longer used for the safari because they shut it down. They realized, I mean, like fuck. Vehicles maybe make sounds and they are metally. So tigers don't fuck with them, but tiger knows that elephant is just another animal. It's not that spooky. It has all the natural characteristics which a metallic jeep running on an icy engine will not, obviously. So they see. They are always aware that these small ass monkeys are within standing on this platform which they call a jeep. If I really wanted to, I could take any of you. And that's why I don't give a fuck. So I'll walk in the middle of the road and let you bitches take my pictures. The tiger or the tigress might even be thinking, you are pussies. I'm the big cat. There's a difference. We are not the same. People keep you in your house. People come to my house in protected cages to be able to see me. The tiger goes, pussies. I'm a big cat. We are not the same. And on that note, I'll see you next time, people. Stay kind, stay wise, spread love, be beautiful. Be a tiger.